right, do we have everyone in? All right, welcome. And we are going to be talking about interactive formative assessment using Google Forms. I did mark this as kind of an intermediate to advanced, but basically if you're a beginner, you're going to be able to use this as well. So welcome today. And I dropped the link in the chat to go to the slideshow if you want to follow along there. It's also in the sched. My name is Connie Bornwood, and I am a former, as of recently, ELA literacy coach for Barstow Unified School District. Some recent changes and opportunities all fell in line. So I am coming to you live from the Texas Panhandle, and I'm in a different time zone. Now, I almost forgot that. I was almost 2 hours early this morning, but appreciate your attendance today and welcome. And I'm going to ask in the chat while we get everybody kind of started, where are you coming to us from today? Are you at home? Are you in a car? Are you in a different time zone like I am? Are you on vacation somewhere? Where are you located right now, or where are you coming to us from? Go ahead and drop in the chat. Home. Oh, I love summer because we've been home a lot the last year, right? A lot of California. Barstow, born and raised. Hi, Hinkley, cool. A lot of friends still there. Not as many people still living there, but there are some. Oceanside, I lived in Oceanside and Orange County where I raised my kids and later moved to the desert. Home, looks like a lot of people are in California. No one's out on vacation going to Google Camp. I was in one recently where the person was in Cancun. So still got online and participated in the event. All right, thank you. A lot of California folk. I got to practice my y'alls. I'm learning the accent. People are trying to teach us, and we'll see how it goes. Learning happens. This is nothing new right here. Learning happens. We know this. When students engage with ideas, I think it's really important though with technology that we have ways for them to engage and not just view, watch, or attend, you know, a Google Meet or a Zoom, when they can ask questions. And I wanted to bring out that that means asking questions of themselves, not just asking questions of other people. When they internalize and they're engaged, they start asking themselves questions. When they construct meaning themselves, and of course, with our guidance and support. I got too many devices in front of me. The problem is that we want to give students feedback at just the right moment when they're in the midst of practicing and in the midst of learning, right there where they need it. But we just can't be with each student in every turn. We can't know what they're thinking or why they made a choice. We don't know how to be in that moment with them to kind of avoid going down the wrong pathway so long it becomes set. So Google Forms really is a solution. It is a way to be there in the moment for students individually, for each question, for each skill, and for each standard. And so this is something that's time consuming, and I recommend for key skills and standards where you see frequently year after year the same types of mistakes happening or the same need for review and practice happening. This, what you're going to learn today is a way to help students while they're practicing, while they're reviewing, anywhere, anytime, whether it's back in person or it's remotely, but it's a way that they can get self-directed in the moment they need it. It's also a way to check for understanding while they're learning. Can be a ticket out the door, can be a quick thing where you have them stop in the moment and you get feedback on what they were thinking and where they are. And often we think they need something that they've already mastered, they got it, and we can move on, but we make assumptions that they need more practice on something they don't. So it helps us too. So it informs our next steps. The learning target for today is that you'll learn how to create Google Forms that Respond according to each answer selection with unique feedback or resources. So we probably know how to make a Google form or any kind of a test or a question. You have some choices. That's very basic, and you may know how to do that. But when I saw this a while ago, it blew my mind, and a bunch of teachers in our district were like, we got to know how to do this. So I delved deeper into it and did training on it. So what are the benefits? We're going to give immediate feedback on student thinking, immediate self-correction and redirection, immediate examples and models that meet the student's needs based on their current thinking. In the moment they're answering the questions, what they thought at that moment, we're going to be able to give them the example and model they need to get them on the track they want to be. It provides opportunities to try again and reinforce the right steps and correct knowledge. It's not about giving a quiz, they get a score and they move on. You know, paper, they throw it away. They don't want to go back over why their answer choice wasn't correct because they got a score. And maybe there's an opportunity to take a test again, but with Google Forms, you're going to turn on the features to let them try again, and they can then get that direction and instruction to not just days later, week later, find out where they went wrong and try to fix it after the fact. It's going to be in the moment. So errors are quickly redirected so they don't stick, and it's custom and on the spot instruction, even when you can't be there. So to start with, I want you to take about 2 minutes, and I'm going to pop this link in the chat. And what you're going to do is try an example, and then we're going to go through step by step how I created it. So take a couple minutes. Because we're recording, I'm going to go ahead and do it on my screen as well. So you might want to turn off the sound if that's going to distract you. But for recording purposes, I'm going to go ahead and click on it. So if you just want to watch, you're welcome to join me. If you want to click on it and do it yourself, go ahead and click on that link. So for the video recording, I'm going to click on it. This Google form is on the order of operations. And there's an equation here. I could have typed the equation in. In this case, I chose an image, and I'll show you how to do that. And then students are going to make a choice. I'm going to make, okay, I did it. I got 120. I'm going to hit next. Think about the order of operations clue, PEMDAS. Check your steps and try again. I didn't get it right. I'm sure you'll see what was out of order. So what I've done is given them an image with the same equation and just the memory graphic, memory tool here. And I give them a hint. You started inside the parentheses, but which operation comes first there? Is it the 4 plus 2 or the 2 times 3? Oh, I see what I did. Okay, so I'm going to hit next. Takes me back to the equation, back to the selection that I chose to start with. And I go, oh, I did 4 plus 2 first. I need to do, and now I do it and get 56. I hit next. Well done. You did all the steps in the correct order. And then I remind them of the little memory tool. Well done. And then they can hit next. And it's going to be, give me some feedback on what you learned or found challenging. So the student can say, I forgot inside the parentheses that I still have to follow the order. And then they submit it. So if you're doing this, go ahead and try the other choices and give me just a second. If it's an incorrect choice, it's going to give them some direction to help get them back on track. So there's another incorrect choice, and it's going to give them some more clues. I'm going to pick other here, and I got 96. That wasn't one of the choices. I was that student. My answer was never one of the choices. Well, lots of times. So now on this one, you had another solution than those given. Check the order of operations with your steps and see where you can choose a different path. I don't like putting wrong. I like giving them some nicer words. Watch the attached video if you want to review before trying the question again. So now I can look at this clue, almost takes them to the final answer. but I can look at this clue and see, what did I do? Now, this is where they're doing the thinking and they're problem solving what they need, because I anticipated certain answers, but they came up with something completely different. And if they still don't see it, they're still getting 96. There's a video that I just downloaded that I attached, and they can watch the video for immediate instruction and review on the order of operations. And so when they hit next, it takes them back. They try again until they get the right answer. All right, so let's go back to, how was this made? So our learning target is for you to learn how to create things like that. So we're going to look at how this one was made so that you can do that. If you have another device and you would like to start a new Google form and you're one of those hands-on learners and you want to do it with me, go ahead and do that. If you're on one device, it's a little complicated, but you'll be able to do this when we're done. All right, so you open a new Google form. It's in your Google Apps. If you use it frequently, it will appear there. Otherwise, it's under More. As soon as you start a new blank form, you automatically have a template for your first question. It's untitled, it's an untitled form, and you only have one option, and you have a drop down of question type. What we're learning today only works with multiple choice and checkboxes, and it works best with multiple choice. Checkboxes has some limitations. So I've got my first template for my first question. So I'm going to create my question. Now you can type your question. I went ahead and used an image from the resource. I use snipping tool. If you use a Mac, there's a different program for that. We PC District. Snipping tool, if you have never used it, I keep it in my taskbar. I use it every day. I have a video at the end of my presentation, how to use snipping tool, because you can right click, copy and paste it into a presentation. For a Google form, you will have to right click and do save as and give it a file name, because you're going to have to upload it for that image to appear. So this is an image. I did not type that. I went to the what's new in Google, and some of the new features include more user-friendly settings, which we're going to go to settings today with some specific education things added, which we will see today, but also 20 more fonts. So it might be more fun to use Google Forms with some new fonts to work with, and autosave. So those are a couple things that I bring to you from that session. Also, if you want to use an image and it has backgrounds, if you haven't used remove.bg, you take your saved image, drag it to this space, just like dragging something in Google Drive, and you hit remove background, and then you download the new image. So anything that had an image, whoops, I really wanted to click on that, but I'm presenting, so let me go back to that. It takes all the backgrounds off an image. So if you want clean images, because you can make images your choices instead of typing text. So if you want to put images from history, you want to use clip art, you have littles that are non-readers, and you want to put a picture of a ball and a picture of a bat, a picture of a bell, you can go get those and remove the background image and have nice clean images to use in place of typing right here. So I just wanted to mention that. When you have an image, you'll click on this little image icon to insert your image, and you basically search for it, browse, and upload it to your form. All right, once I have my questions, how do I make this interactive? That's what you're here for today. So this is the magic. It's these 3 dots at the bottom of your first question. Once you click on those 3 dots, magically, you're going to see the choice to either give a description if you want, or if you want to have each selection take the student to a different place so that they get their needs met. So with order of operations, when they didn't do inside the parentheses in the correct order, I took them specifically to how to fix that problem. When they chose something where they did inside the parentheses correctly, but they did the outside out of order, it takes them to a resource example feedback on how to do that correctly. So I can make each response have unique resources and models for them So they're getting what they need in any based on their thinking at the moment. So this is the magic, the 3 vertical dots. Choose go to section based on answer. And now we can make this interactive. Once you get that open, I'll go back one. When you have your question choices, they have an X, which allows you to delete an option. That's what that is. As soon as I open up the interactive component, then it's going to add another column, and the default is continue to the next section. And then I'm going to have choices. Anytime you've seen a down arrow means you have choices. I'm going to show you that in a moment. You will add sections for each question. So I have 4 responses. You have as many as you want. And I'm going to have students see a different feedback piece based on this selection, because I'm going to make a section. And so that looks like an equal sign. It's actually the 2 bars dividing sections. So see that as section dividers, not an equal sign. So I'm going to add a section, and we're going to go live and see this as well. I'm going to add a section, and I'm going to title it, Your Choice was 120. I did that because when I first was learning this, I didn't make those titles clear enough for me to not get confused back at the original editing page. So I make my title clear for me. Whatever my title says will show up in my editing piece. This is only something you see as a teacher, but it will really help you keep your place as you work through this interactive document. So section 1 is my initial question. Section 2 is what the students are going to be directed to if they choose 120. Your choice is 120. Now I type my feedback about what hint I want to give them. And then I'm going to click on the image, and I'm going to give them a graphic to support them, because I know what they did to get 120. I want them to see it for themselves. I'm not giving them too many clues. I'm not giving any clues here on the equation, but I am giving them a reminder of what the order of operations includes. Now they get to try the equation again. The only way they're going to get to go back and try it again is when you do one more step. You have to set the directions for what happens next. At the end of a section, it is going to, by default, continue to the next section. Right now, the next answer was the correct answer. So when I added that section, you chose 56. You did the steps in the correct order. Congratulations, well done. If I don't change this here, once they read the feedback for the 120, they're going to go to, you're correct. Wait, no, they didn't redo it yet. I have to tell each section what I want it to do after the student has gone to that feedback page. In other words, when they hit next, where is it going to take them? I want them to go back to the original question and try again. So I want them to go back to section 1, order of operations. And I have to tell the program that. All right, let's go live. And here's what it looks like when you practiced it. Now I am in the student view. I'm going to click this pencil down here to go to the editor view. And you will see the question, but section 2, your choice was 120. And I'm going to scroll down, and you see after section 2, this is where I had to tell it, because it automatically sets as continue to the next section. I had to tell it I wanted to go back to the original question so the student tries again. Because when I add section 3 for 56, it's going to say, well done. If I didn't change this here for section 2, the program's going to take them to, your choice was 56. Well, they haven't gone back and tried it again. So I don't want it to take them there. I have to always remember to change it here. And then my section 3, what happens if they choose 56? Don't get dizzy, I'm going to scroll back up, which was the second choice. The third choice was 80. So I'm not going to go too fast and make you dizzy, but that's going to be my section 4. Okay, so let's go back to the slideshow and look at that. So for my second choice, I'm going to again hit the equal sign, which is our 2 dividing bars. It's going to give me a new section called section 3. I'm going to title it something that helps me as the creator. It tells them what their choice was, just in case they don't remember. And then I added an image, well done. And that's my question, and that's my direct to taking them to the feedback for their choice. But again, if I don't set the directions for what happens next, it's going to continue to section 4, which is the feedback for the answer 80. I don't want those who got it right to get the section next. When they hit next, it says you chose 80. No, they got it right. They should go to submit or maybe a feedback section. So we have to be careful that we go back and change those. I will tell you, if you rearrange anything or add something, these do not change to match where you had them connected. So it is important to go back and actually try it. And the way you try it, go back to edit view here. When you're in your edit view and you want to see if it's working, click the little eyeball image. Click the one you just made, click next. Okay, that's right. They got the answer right. Now click next and see where it takes them. It took them to feedback, which is where I wanted it to go. All right. Oops, sorry about that. All right, I'm going to do that with each answer. I'm going to create a section. It made section 4 now. I'm going to give them the feedback. Your choice was 80. Here's the hint. I worked it. I know how they got to 80, and I want to help them redirect themselves. And then I'm going to give them an image that gives them a bunch of clues almost to the final answer, so they can look at what they did and catch their mistake right now before they keep doing it wrong, and that becomes ingrained. After I have decided what I'm going to give them for 80 as feedback, I have to again tell the section where I want it to go. That was an incorrect answer, so I want it to go back to the original section and take them back to the equation to try again. So let's go back and let's look at 80. Click next. You'll see this is what I sent them to. That's all they see because they chose 80. When they hit next, it takes them back to try again. So hopefully they get 56 this time. Right, back to the slideshow. Let me use the arrows, I don't go so far. I recommend adding an other because again, that's those students like I was who come up with an answer that wasn't one of the choices. And other language arts and things, you want them to explain why they chose what they chose or didn't agree with the choices that were there, saw something differently than you anticipated. Others really good to have because it gives you information on their thinking. So on other, I added that instructional video. You can set it to play manually. Now the on click and manually seem a little confusing. When there's the arrow and they push the arrow, that's manual. On click means if they click anywhere to do anything else, like to hit next, it's going to start playing the video because they clicked. If you want them to choose if they need it or not, maybe the clue was all they needed and they don't need to watch the video, the manual is a good choice because they click on it and decide if they want to play it or not. Play automatically might be something what's shorter. This one's like 6 minutes, so I'd want the arrow so they choose. But if it's something you really want them to see, if they chose that wrong answer, and it could be a video you made, it could be a little screencast, you say, oh, I know what you did, I did that myself. And you do a little how to redirect and how to correct that wrong answer. You can make it play automatically. So you're going to set that in the video settings. And again, what happens next when they finish that section? I want them to go back. They chose an answer other than the correct answer. So I always want it to go back to the original question to try again. All right, so let's go to other. And see, they have to type what their answer was. So I got 96. They're going to have to enter something. That's another beauty about other. So it could be talking about a character, it could be talking about an event in history. And the choices you had were not things that were what they saw. This way they can give their evidence, they can type it for you. And so here's what they're going to see. And that's all they're going to see is the feedback for anyone who had an answer different than what was in the choices. And here again, you can see they choose to watch the video or not watch the video. And it takes them back to try again. All right, so you can add at the last one, you do have to add another section in order to get the ability to tell what to do next. So you can add a feedback section, you can add a thank you, you can add what you want them to do next. Now that they completed this, you can give them something that reminds them of due dates or anything you want to put. Just add a section and add some text, or add some text and add with the plus, you add a question. And then I made this a long answer for them to talk about how they feel about that skill or concept they were just practicing, or just how to reach out to you. One more section in order for your last correction to have a place to go. All right. I am going to give you this warning because I will tell you and I put it in the descriptions of this event, so thank you for coming. This can take some time. It takes a bit of teacher prep and setup for sure. And it really takes some thinking through what you're going to use for each answer response that students might get. You are not going to do this with every Google form quiz you make. You're going to do this for those things that are key standards and skills, those things that you see over and over and over students struggle with, and they make the same kinds of mistakes. Order of operations is just a good example. But it's anytime they need ongoing review, and they're going to use this in other grade levels. And you can use it in future years, because once you make it, you can use it and use it and use it. But it's available because look at order of operations. My video that I uploaded and shared in there was 5th grade, but I've taught high school and they still struggle with that. So it is time consuming. So choose wisely on where you want to take the time to use this, but where it is valuable are those things where you anticipate, because you've seen it, students struggle with the same thing over and over again. I highly recommend a flowchart, because a flowchart will help you save yourself a lot of time. Students won't see the result on the other end, and it may be a really short Google form for them on the user side, but it took a lot of prep on your side. So a flowchart where you have your question and you get multiple questions. This example had one question. I did make an order of operations ones that had this one for teaching and modeling, a second one for the we do, and then a third one for the you do. And I made the order of operations equation harder for each level, for each question. That was a lot of prep and planning. So you would do this for each question. What are your wrong answers? What is the correct answer? Where is each answer going to take the student? So your section numbers, and then where do you want each section to take them next? Do they go back to the original, or do they go to another resource, or do they go to feedback? And at some point, you don't want them always looping back if they keep getting it wrong and getting it wrong. there's got to be an escape. There's got to be a way out. So they're not just guessing until they get out. So a flowchart is the best way to help you plan for how it's going to come together. There is a quick and simple version that you can use, the Google Form quiz option. They also respond to each answer selection with feedback, and you can upload resources. So quiz option is in the settings. You can now take, it's on the new feature, you can take a Google form that you currently have, go to settings, and it's going to have a toggle now that says, make this a quiz. You're going to turn that on and it makes it a quiz. Or you can go here and general's where it starts, click across, choose quizzes. And you don't want to limit their responses unless this is a check for understanding and you only want them to do it once to give you information. Generally, if you're wanting them to continually use it for learning, you wouldn't limit how many times they can try it. That's where it needs to be a little more robust, so you have more questions than just one. You can allow them to edit after they submit and try again, or you can not. If you're looping it, it's already built in. You can decide if they can see summary charts and text responses, and you can play with that and hit save. Here's a little video more about the quiz feature. But when you choose quiz, you can choose multiple choice or checkboxes, just like you can with the standard Google form. It is more limited on what you can do as far as feedback. All right, this one, I'm going to pop that link into the chat. It does not tell you how many times you redid the question. This is for students to self-direct and self-correct. If you want them to know how many times they tried it, you would make it something they can only do once. And then that way they're not redoing it. And then you can name it with a different name and reassign it to them to try again with a different title. But yeah, you won't know how many times they tried or how many of the choices they tried. And you won't know if they just clicked and guessed either. That's, you know, they do that. I was one who probably did that. Thank you for the snipping directions for the Mac or Mac family forever. And I've worked on PCs in the district so long, other than my iPad and my phone, I haven't used the desktop Mac in many years. All right, so I'm going to go over here. And so this is a quiz format. You can assign points to your questions when you choose the quiz format, which you don't have when you just use a standard Google form. And so what content area, if you're clicking on that, go ahead and choose what content area might you use this tool for. So what are you teaching, and how might you use it? So I am going to pick math. I'm actually the ELA teacher, but I love order of operations and math. So it works really good as an example here. I'm going to choose math because each one of these, I kind of gave you a couple of resources that I personally like. Even though I'm the ELA coach, I love this graphic organizer from UCubed. It is also, I found it on the Tulare County's Common Core Connect website. If you haven't gone there, they have wonderful resources I've used for many, many years with coaching. But this card, even though it says a mathematical mindset, if you have anyone in any content area, replace the word math and mathematics with their content title. Just go through and see how many of these things are critical and vital to your content area as well. I just wanted to pop something in there for an example. And then they go to next. Here's a little graphic on effective feedback. I go next. What are your thoughts right now? You can give me some feedback on how you, what you're thinking about this interactive Google Forms. And then you would hit submit. All right, so I can hit back at any time, back and back and back, and choose a different option, or I can submit and do another one. So on Language Arts, I gave you a link to Tulare County because I have used their standards unpacked, their bookmarks, which are the standards unpacked templates, these ELA templates. Every standard has been broken down for you. Fabulous resource. All right, so that's using Google Quiz instead of the standard Google form. Checkbox is a little bit more limited, quiz is a little more limited. So my success criteria is, can you do it? Can you create a simple Google form or quiz that's interactive where each answer selection responds with unique feedback or resources? So to help you do that, kind of scribble out on paper a yes/no question, just a simple yes/no interactive Google form. So if they choose yes, what would you give them? Text, an image, a video? This could be agree or disagree. Think about language arts. Think about social studies. Think about how you might have them use it for agree and disagree. And then you could give text. You could use an image from the text. You could use a video from history. You could use images of people, events, objects. And then the next section could be for them to go to a section you added where they add their evidence in that long answer paragraph form. What is their evidence? And they can then support their statement. And they disagree or no, I don't like pizza. So maybe you could give them different images of pizzas with different toppings. And then they could say, oh, well, I don't like pizza, but well, I like it when it's got pepperoni on it, but I don't like it. So just kind of creative, yes or no. If you don't feel like you're ready to go to a new form and make a quick yes/no question, because we do have a recording, I was going to also just use one and go through it for the recording. So if you want to try one, step out for a couple minutes. We have 10 left. So if you want to take 5 minutes to try and make one of your own, just a simple, if they choose yes, where does it take them? If they choose no, where does it take them? Or we're going to go ahead and look at one for the video purposes or for those who want to come along. So here's one that I made and I called it a yes/no check-in. And then I wrote my question, not uploading anything. Can you see yourself using Google Forms in this way? Oh, I need to give you that link. So if you want to, let's go back and get that link. Drop it in the chat. If you want to go ahead and try it or make a copy. If you don't know how to make a copy of a Google form, you're going to go up to the 3 dots, my arrow's covering them up, choose make a copy. That puts a copy on your drive. So when you edit and change things, it doesn't change the original that I just shared. So go ahead and click on the link, go to the 3 dots. Sorry that the arrow is covering up the 3 dots. Choose make a copy, then you open your copy. So close the tab with the one that you opened to start with. And then you'll be working from the copy. Oops. All right, so I'll do that for you right here. 3 dots. Ooh, let's go. Well, it did work. Okay, well, maybe it'll work for you. That's where I got the image. It's supposed to work. Always when you're showing something, maybe because I started, probably. All right, so answer the question and then you hit next and you can answer those. I'm going to go to the pencil here and go to the editor mode. I can add a description. I add my choices. I make a section. Here's my section for you chose yes. I do say after they hit next, it's going to take them to section 5. I know that because of all my sections are listed when I hit this little arrow, and I tell them where, I tell the program where to take them. I don't want them to go back to the original and try again because there's no wrong answers. It's how you feel. So all of these end with thank you. So I double check, and you'll always know when you run it in preview mode. If things don't flow the way you expected, it's this right here. It's where you told it to go because it's going to always default to the next section. So let's just leave that at default and preview it so you can see what happens. So I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to answer. I'm just going to put some letters there. And then it says you chose no. Well, I just said I chose yes because it defaulted to continue to next section. I'm going to go back to my little editing tool here. I'm going to go back, and after yes, I'll continue to next section, sent them to you chose no. I need this to take them to thank you or submit the form. So that's a basic yes or no. I put in a maybe and a thank you. So I'll give you a moment to play with that if you want. And I'm going to check the chat for questions. So feel free to drop some in. And additional, I always go to ditch that textbooks, resources for Jamboard, slides, any program. It doesn't have to be a Google program. They have templates. You don't have to start from scratch with anything if you start there. And how to use Google Forms to create an interactive workflow. That's really for businesses, but it had some wonderful ideas, so I wanted to put that in there. And then if you haven't used a snipping tool because you want to grab those pieces from the textbook. So I am going to see if you have questions. Make a copy of any of these so that you can play with them and see how they're built. You always go down to that pencil to switch to editor mode, which takes you to that creation screen. Not showing the 3 dots. Does it need to be an editor mode? Something didn't work for me, and of course it works all the time, except, okay, yeah, editor mode, make a copy. Thank you. It's right there. Thank you for that, Lisa. Appreciate it. That was the trick. You have to go onto the pencil and be in editor mode to get those 3 dots to make a copy. I did, let me just double check. Let me make sure I did make everyone with the link an editor, add collaborators. Okay, I need to make sure anyone with the link can do that. There you go. Thought I checked all of those, but I realized I added this when I was coming up short, and well, let's go make a quick one together. Any questions? You can go ahead and click on those sample ones and answer them. I will get the Google form responses. And I'm going to, let's go to the yes, no one. Let's go to the quick quiz one. I'm going to editor mode, and I can see responses, and I can see what people are choosing. So a lot of people see the value using this for math. I know I use the math example because order of operations is perfect for this, but honestly, there's a lot of ways to use this. If you want to just reach out to me by email, you're like, I'm not sure how to use this, but my content area, or maybe it's social studies and it's a topic, and I'd really like to use this. I'm not sure how. Just reach out to me and I'll help you create what you're trying to do, and we can make this work for you. And I will resend the link. Try it again on the edit on the yes, no one, because I did not have the sharing, the collaborating open. That was my bad. Double check that it's saved. Anyone with the link can now edit. So double check that it should work now. And let's just grab that link from here. This is the yes, no simple one. Let me put a description on that. Yes, no. Oh, that was some bad typing. And then the quick quiz one. The link. Caps lock on. So take these, make a copy, and just mess with them, change what they do, or start your own. You'll learn a lot from trying to start your own. It did take me a while to get the flow. That's why I said writing out a flow chart. Wow, that made a huge difference to have a plan on paper. And a folder to put all your pieces. So at the end of my presentation, you have a link to my folder, so you can get those pieces. If you want to try making an order of operations one like mine, go ahead and use the links. I put those images in there. You can use those images in that from the folder. It's got the well done that you can grab. It's got the magic wand if you want to grab it as a yay, you got it right. Go ahead and go to the Google folder and grab those. Make some of your own. Reach out to me if you want me to try yours and see if it works. And the 3 dots wasn't working for you, Valerie. I will try it from the slideshow, and I will double check those as well. So I hope you find this is a great way to help redirect students when they need it. So remotely, in class, we just can't, walking around the room, always know what they thought when they chose their answer. If you can stop and say, explain to me why you chose B, that's wonderful. We just can't do it all the time and with every student. So thank you for seeing the value in this tool.